First love yourself before anyone else. First love yourself by Trinisha Cottrell.
Hi, this is Trinisha Cottrell, and welcome to First Love Yourself, where love, life, and Christ combine. I am so grateful to have you here on this journey of self-discovery and empowerment with me. In today's video, we are going to talk about being me. But before we get started, if you're new here, go ahead and give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never miss out on more uplifting and empowering content like this. So get comfortable because we are about to get into it. Let's go. So earlier today, I was reading John 19 and it starts talking about Jesus's crucifixion, and it made me think about how intentional God was. And there have been some instances lately that have made me just kind of shake my head. And I really didn't want to talk about it in this video, but I feel like it is so important for us to get this out the way. I don't know if you've heard or if you've seen like a bunch of things on social media and like kind of trending lately that says you have to be mean to get ahead. You have to mean people win, mean women win, and things like that. But I think what they mean is people who have boundaries and standards win, not people who are mean. And I wanted to do this video, God willing, and through like the grace of God, to try to enlighten people about what being mean really is. Because when you look up the definition of being mean, it means intentionally trying to insult or hurt someone else. And I don't think that any person who makes those videos, this is just my opinion, that any of those videos are intended for people to insult or intentionally harm someone else. I think what they mean is having intentional standards and boundaries towards someone else. And just because you have standards and boundaries does not mean that you're a mean person. That means that you have standards and boundaries. I mean, Jesus had boundaries, he had standards, just like in John 19. When I was reading it, everything that Jesus did before he was crucified was intentional. Everything had a point, it had a purpose, it happened at a certain period, at a certain time. He was buried near a garden, which means having hope, because there was still hope after his death, after his crucifixion, and he was brought back to life. I think that when we are moving through this life, you have to be intentional with the steps that you're taking. You have to be intentional with the type of life that you want to live, because you will not get anywhere without intentionality, without persistence, without consistency, and without intentionality. And number one, without God, you won't be going nowhere. You might get a lot of things, but you will have no fulfillment. You might make a lot of money, but you will have no peace. You may have guys chasing after you, but you'll have no joy, because you have to find your joy and your peace and contentment in God, because those things change. I would hear a lot of older people say this all the time, that your body is fleeting. It's not something that's sustainable. It's you have this body that's gonna shut down, like your looks are gonna get worse or whatever else. But I think what they mean by that is your skin might not be as supple. You might end up having, I don't know, stretch marks or something later on in life for whatever reason. And I rebuke that, for all the people that are like, don't speak that over my life. But you will end up having different things that happen to your health, whether it's like surgeries or different things with conditions, or maybe it's you might be able to jump 10 times when you're young, and then when you're older, you might be able to jump one time, just due to like the wear and tear on your knee or not taking care of your body when you're younger or whatever else. So I can see in health wise, I can see in body wise how those things may change. But if you're like me, I was thinking, oh, well, I'm going to work out until I'm 90, God willing. And that's going to be my plan, is to try to take that I've been with, so that the better I get, the better I have. So, but I think it's important for us when we are going through life, when you're going through life, for you to say, okay, I want to be intentional about my life. And I have to tell this story. I think it's important for us to just treat people the best way that we possibly can. I've been in different scenarios where I run into a person, or I've seen someone somewhere mistreating other people, and they will be mean to them. And I promise you that the people out here are not saying that mean people win because they want you to treat people like a piece of crap. I think that, excuse my French, but I think they are saying that because they want you to be intentional and have intentionality in your life and to walk with purpose, not because they want you to act like this job is the only job that exists. This man is the only man that exists. Satan wants you to think that this is all God has for you so that you can be at war with your sisters, with your brothers, with people in this world who are here to help you. The whole time, y'all could be working together, making billions. Y'all could be working together, changing the entire world. But because you have this scarcity, this lackluster mindset, you're thinking that this is the only thing that's available to you, and it's not. I think it's time for us to stop thinking scarcely, for us to stop thinking that there's only one of something that's left in the world. If that was the case, car creators would only make one car like that and then stop. They'd be like, okay, this Porsche 911 Coupe Turbo is the only one I will ever make because it's the only one. That's it. There's no more. And there might be a specialized car that someone makes for themselves, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about in general. They don't make one and done. So if they don't make one and done in cars, obviously God's not going to make one and done in a man or a woman that he has for you in your life. Men for women, women, men. And I'm just telling you, don't think lacklusterly. Don't think in scarcity mindset because God has plenty. He is the God of abundance. He would not just create one so that you could be at war with your brothers and sisters. He is creating plenty because there's more where that came from. There's like blessings out here that God's waiting to give you. But because you think that this is the only man that exists, you don't even see Bill over here going to treat you like, give you the world. Because you're so worried about it being only one guy. Only this one woman who broke your heart in high school is the only woman that exists. No, she's not. That's just a stepping stone pushing you towards your purpose partner, pushing you towards the person that God intended for you to be with because that was a lesson in that. You got to take the lesson, like TG says, and then move towards your blessing. Don't get stuck in the past because the only thing back there is lessons. It is not for you to just reminisce on something that God no longer thinks serves your life. It is for you to say, okay, I learned this from that scenario, and that's going to make me into a better woman. That's going to make me into a better man. Not, I'm just going to stay there stuck. So, here's an acronym that God allowed me to be able to learn, and it's MEAN. The reason why you should stop being mean is because miserable. Misery loves company. Listen, I ain't trying to be nobody's company that is miserable. If you are sitting in misery, don't search for a partner in misery. You have to find a way to find joy in your life, and joy comes from God. You got to do the things that you love and find reasons to be more happy in life. Don't just sit around trying to make other people be unsuccessful at work because you're unsuccessful at work. Don't just make somebody else's relationship fail because you've been through a lot of failed marriages or relationships. You have to really want better for other people than you want for yourself. You have to want good for yourself as well, but don't just want badly for someone else just because you have badly in your life. You have to really say, okay, I'm miserable because I made these decisions in the past. And I say it like that because when I was married, and people that are new here don't know that I was married, but I was married in the past. And one of the things that I used to do when I was real immature is I used to be like, you did this, you did that. And I would like always point the finger and want to blame everybody else around me for the reasons why I was making mistakes or doing the wrong thing in life. And it took a lot of maturity. It took a lot of Jesus. It took some church for me to start taking accountability for my actions and saying, no, I chose to be in that relationship that long. I chose to be with this person. I chose to make whatever decisions it was, and this is the outcome of the decisions that I've made in the past. It's nobody else's fault but mine. Yes, other people have a part in that because it takes two to be in a relationship, but you always have a choice to do the right thing in life. Don't feel like because you made a mistake in the past that you are stuck there. You don't have to be miserable your whole life. And that's another thing. I used to say that I thought all relationships were supposed to be miserable, so that's why I stayed. I was like, everybody seemed unhappy in relationships, so obviously this is what a relationship is. And the whole time, that is not what God ever intended for my life or your life. God does not intend for you to be stuck in a situation feeling miserable every single day of your life. He wants you to be happy. And that's something that not a lot of church people say, and people that I go to church will say it all the time. But I don't hear it often when you go different places that they'll say that God wants you to be happy. They'll say you got to do all these things for God and this and that, and then you will serve God the rest of your life, which is amazing because God gave his life for us. But when you living wrong, you're not thinking about serving nobody but yourself. And so I think it's important for us as baby Christians, as people who are trying to really get right with God, live righteously, to know that God wants you to be happy. He does not want you to walk around miserable in a bad relationship, being treated poorly. He wants you to be treated like Christ loved the church. He wants you to be treated with all the respect that you could possibly obtain, especially as a man. He's not intending for you to walk around being treated like a piece of trash. He's intending for you to be treated like Christ loves the church well, to be having standards and boundaries and respecting and honoring yourself and respecting and honoring God. The next letter is for E, evil. Cruel people with the worst of intentions ever. You know, sometimes you want to say that people just want to be evil. It's just, some people just are bad people. I don't know if I'm just one of those hopeful people now, all of a sudden, because of Jesus. Because before I was such a cynic, I used to think that everything was negative. Everything was like, this is just the way it is. Everything is like, I used to, ooh, can I say this and be transparent in this video? I used to watch horror movies because I felt like that was more like reality than a rom-com or a romantic movie. Like, who's gonna fall into the arms of the person they're supposed to be with for the rest of their life, right? But if somebody's chasing you who's a serial killer or something iller, then obviously you're gonna run. Like, that was more realistic to me. I'm obviously not gonna go in the house in the first place, but if I'm in the house, I know I'm one not gonna run upstairs. I'm gonna run through the front door that's right beside me. Like, why they keep going up the stairs? And also, two, I'm probably not gonna put myself in that situation in the first place. But if I was, then I would probably fight like my life depends on it, because it does, you know. But in a rom com, you meet this person, you don't know nothing about them. You meet them for like a month, and all of a sudden y'all live happily ever after. Like, come on, man. You know, we gotta do better. And so that was just my mindset back in the day. And now I'm more hopeful. Now I'm like hoping everybody ends up happy in a relationship, just being loved on, treating themselves the right way. Like, Jesus just can change a whole person. You don't understand. God be working on the inside of people, and you don't even know you changing until you wake up one day and Bible study every Wednesday and in church every Sunday. Then you're like, hold up, who is she going to church every Sunday? I don't understand. So you just got to let God work on the inside of you. And my hope is that everybody wants to do better. I know there are some people that do really bad things, but I feel like it's due to childhood. I feel like it's due to traumatic events that happen when they're coming up. It's due to generational curses. It's due to generational trauma. And those are the things that create a cruel individual. I don't think that people are just cruel. I think that's that sometimes, and I hate to sound old like this, but that's that spirit that's on them. So when it comes to being cruel, you just really have to make sure that you are being nice. Be kind to people. Like, it's nothing that grinds my gears more than people being mean and nasty to other people. When I see somebody treat somebody badly, it really makes me hot. Like, I'll be trying to be peaceful and like, just like, okay, you know, Jesus flipped over tables too, so obviously he had a breaking point. So my breaking point is when people be cruel to other people. I hate seeing people being treated badly. I hate seeing when I go out somewhere and there's a woman yelling at some man in some man's face. I hate when I see like there's this younger brother or something and the older sibling is like picking on them, pushing them down. Like, stuff like that really just make me feel some type of way. Like, you don't understand. And so I just feel like we would have to really start loving ourselves so we can treat people better, because you can't say love your neighbor if you don't even love yourself. You got to learn to love yourself first so that you can treat everybody else better, because being cruel is not where it's at. Like, why are you being cruel? Who hurt you? I need you to think back in that moment. Who hurt you? The reason why you feel like you got to be nasty, the reason why you think that you can't enjoy life, the reason why you think you're supposed to be miserable. And when you think of that one thing, write it down and figure out a way to combat it. Think of some scriptures that will go against it. Go to therapy, go to life coaching, and really just figure out how to get rid of this energy, because it's time for us to put peace back into the world. I mean, to put happiness back into the world, to put positivity, to put kindness back into the world, because it's so much cruelty out here that is unnecessary. The next thing is for A, alienating. Mm, 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 mm. Another thing that really sucks that people do that are mean is they will try to alienate another person by making them feel inferior to them because they feel inferior and insecure anyways. They will try to, you sitting at a table at lunch, and this is just a picture that came in my head. You sitting at a table at lunch, and they want you not to be able to sit with them, like Mean Girls. You can't sit with us. You got to just sit somewhere else by yourself alone, eating lunch in the corner somewhere, and everybody else got friends around them. Like, the person who is mean wants you to feel like you don't have nobody that's got your back, but God always got your back. You may feel like you're the only one going through this thing. You may feel like you're on this journey alone, like you're the only one struggling with whatever it is that you're struggling with in life. But God is right there with you. God's saying, give him your burdens, put his yoke upon you so that he can carry the load for you. You don't have to try to stress through life. I be forgetting about this every time I go through something. Well, I won't say every time, but like 60% of the time this year when I go through something, I'd be like, oh snap, Jesus is here. Like, I could just give this to God. And the whole time I'd be trying to carry it by myself. I'd be putting all them bricks on my back. Like, I'm gonna just keep on toting this stuff. And God's looking at me in my head. God's looking at me like, mm, mm. And I'm like, oh yeah, Jesus, I keep forgetting that you died for me. And God, I keep forgetting that you're there for me. Like, the whole time I could have just told you, I got this issue with work. I got this issue with life. I got this issue with myself. And God helped me be able to change the things that I don't see as a problem right now. Like, if I got an attitude still, help me change my attitude so I can be a better person. If I'm having struggles at work, God help me be able to make my business, if God willing, if this is what you want, to be successful so it can be $1 billion industry. Like, God, whatever it is that you need to do, however it is that you need to move within me or in my life, do it and allow me to be able to follow in obedience, because I know if ain't nobody else gonna be able to do it, you could do it. That's the way that you have to take this thing called life, because life is gonna life be life, but God be God. That's something that we always forget, and I think you should keep it at the forefront of your mind. The last thing is numb. The reason some people be mean is because they be numb to everything that's going on in life. You have to put up a wall so long. You have to carry everything by yourself for so long that you just forget that God sends people in your life to help you. You forget that you don't have to turn off your emotions and just be emotionless, because everyone emotes. Emoting is a human emotion that God gave us to feel all the feelings so that we can tell exactly where our temperature is, so that when we get off course, we can correct it. Our emotions are there to be able to tell us when we're afraid, when we're happy, when we're sad, when we're feeling whatever it is that we're feeling, so that we can redirect our emotions in the right direction. But you can't do that if you feel nothing. When you get numb to the things in life, you start treating people like crap because you forgot that they have feelings, because you've been emotionless for so long and numb for so long that you don't realize that you're hurting people. You have to start getting back to the point where you allow God in your heart. Because if God is a part of your heart, if you are bearing any of the fruits of the Spirit, you cannot be numb to feeling God. You cannot be numb to feeling the loved one's hug or being able to give love to someone else. You can only do that with a pure heart. You can only do that with the purest, with the best of intentions. You cannot have a cruel, mean, nasty attitude, emotionless, and expect someone to give you all of them. You have to be willing to be a little vulnerable. You have to be willing to say, okay, I might have been hurt in this stage, but I'm going to get the help necessary so that I can open up to the things that God wants me to have in my life. Because God told me a long time ago when I was real hard, like, I was so numb that I really was feeling like, all right, I ain't gonna cry no more. Like, I'm not gonna feel no emotions. I'm gonna just have to carry this like 10 toes down, like I'm about that life. And so God was like, no, you don't understand that the blessings that I have for you in your life are gonna come from a person. Every single blessing that I'm about to give you is attached to somebody else. And if you are numb, if you don't have, if you're emotionless, if you're closed off, God cannot send the person in your life who is going to give you the blessing that He has for you. The only way to give it to you is if you are open to receive it. Man, that thing spoke to my soul. It didn't change overnight, but through a process and through letting God in my heart and my eye gates, through reading the scripture and through my ear gates as I said the word out loud, I started to allow God into my heart, and it really changed me. It allowed me to see that I could be vulnerable sometimes, that I could let some people in, that I really could do the things that God intended for me to do, because I was willing to stop being mean. I was willing to have standards and boundaries the way that God intended, because I honor and love God, and because I honor and love myself. Not because I want to be nasty and cruel to somebody else, but because I know what my worth is, because I know that I'm worthy because God created me, because I know that I'm more precious than rubies. I'm a royal priesthood, a holy nation, because I know that I'm blessed coming and going. I know I'm the head and not the tail, above and not beneath, because I know that when God created me, it was for a purpose, because I'm here for a mission. Because I know that, I don't have to worry about trying to seek validation from someone else, although I do like compliments. I do. I'm an affirmation person. I love giving affirmations. I love receiving affirmations, but I don't need that to survive. I need God to survive. So when I talk about numb, you're gonna have to stay tuned on Monday, because I don't want to take up too much of your time. But on Monday we will get into numb, what numb means, and how to be able to break free from being numb so that you can allow the blessings in. Because it's time to change our whole trajectory. It's time to start moving up instead of going backwards. Everything in the rear view is not going to serve you. What's in the future will serve you, because everything you've been through is building you for this moment in life. You have to be willing to receive all of those things. So I hope that you learn to stop being mean and start being kind to yourself, loving yourself, so that you can learn how to love your neighbor, so you can learn how to treat other people. Remember that, and remember to love